Hey, y'all, what's up? It's your girl, Miss Mimi, aka Mimi the Great.
Hey,
It's the Love Power Radio Show. It is Saturday, June 19th.
it is Saturday, Juneteenth. It is Saturday, Juneteenth. Thank you. That is your first song for the new national holiday. Go ahead and record that. Drop that.
Yeah.
That's my new album.
Next time you hear it's going to be a remix.
Ficky.
Next to me at the table, I got my girl.
It's Latriva Deneen. How are you people doing?
Hey, Saturday.
It's Saturday.
I'm so excited. We got so much going on here at Summer Radio. In case you guys haven't been keeping up, today we are going to do the red carpet for Sherry Block.
Sherry. Black Shadi.
Hey, listen, he was holding some cherries on Facebook the other day. I said, hey, man, first of all.
Do you eat cherries?
Oh, I heard they were good for weight loss.
Are they?
That's what I heard. I don't know. So
I ain't heard that.
Let me go get me some cherries. Anyway, especially when they're on sale. But no, it's a certain kind.
I'm not doing this with you.
But every Saturday. Okay. So anyway, so we can get this going and get this started. Y'all already know my nose is built a certain way because I know.
Nosy.
N-O-S-I-E.
Nope. But we'll work on that later.
Okay.
We'll work on the spelling later.
Okay.
It's fine.
So I already want to know how your week was. Triple D.
My week was amazing. Yeah. I slept in until I decided to wake up.
That's right. It's summertime.
It is summertime.
Hey,
summertime. So yes. So I slept. I am doing this teen show. So I had my meeting with my participants, which was really cool. They seemed super excited. So we're rolling on that. And I just chilled. I really just chilled this week. I was able to get some, basic stuff done to show myself, I'm taking care of me. Because as a teacher, you put a whole lot of stuff off. I don't know why we act like we are going to get life done in the summer, but whatever. So, just been kind of doing some stuff. But it felt good because I only did the things that I genuinely wanted to do.
So you did that self-love, self-care thing.
Yes, to the best of my ability.
Okay. I mean, ain't like, getting that started at least. Because sometimes we say we're going to do it and we end up doing our own.
Child. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth?
At least you
got some of it done. Yeah.
Self-love, self-care. Are they like two separate different things?
They're two separate things, or they're the same thing. It depends on whatever you want it to be.
Okay.
For real.
Cool. And so we're going to hear from our guest right quick. How was your week, Miss Georgetta?
Ooh, I'm glad it's over.
Yes.
It was a long week.
Yes.
We made it through.
Yes.
We made it through.
Yes, that's what matters.
We made
to Juneteenth.
Yes.
So grateful. So grateful.
It was okay. Like she said, I made it. So I'm going to go with that.
Okay.
Okay, so y'all. And this is interesting how this all fell. So for those of you who don't know, I am a caregiver.
Right.
And so I'm going to try to be nice. The first time I went over this in my head, I had all kinds of names I wanted to call these people. So one is going to be the client and one is the supervisor because it's really how it happened.
Okay.
I was at one of the houses and my supervisor came by, right? Had a few words for him, but I digress. I want to wait until I get my other check. And so he and the client were sitting in the room talking. They're from the same box of crackers. Okay, salty. Got it. Anyway, and so the client was like, "Oh yeah, I sold my car, this and other." And so the supervisor was like, "Oh yeah, well, Mimi's got a nice little Dodge outside, so y'all should be good." And the client said something about having a Lexus, and so supervisor goes, "A Lexus? Who's driving a Lexus? If any one of my caregivers drive a Lexus, that means I'm paying them too much."
That ain't what I'm driving has nothing to do with what you're. Come on, that has nothing to do,
sir. And I was like, he did, and went further to say, "Oh yeah, there was a young lady that was driving a Lexus, and I had to ask her, how could she afford it working for us?" It just so happened that she was living at home with her mom, and that was her mom's car. It didn't matter whose car it is.
You would still be wondering. You would still be wondering.
Today. You would be wondering.
Wow.
Wow.
The nerve.
It actually confirmed things that have been going on with the office.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning of the year, they said, "Oh, we're going to be giving raises to everybody who's been here more than a year. I've been there 3. Mm-hmm. The only people that got raised were the people in the office." But anyway, then all of a sudden they started having glitches in the system.
Right. Right. When it's time to get everybody what you promised.
Okay, but guess what? I have the power to change it. That's a whole other show. So that's what my week was, trying to adjust.
Yes.
Trying not to be angry Black woman.
Right. Right.
So I went and got somebody some time.
I'm glad that helped.
And I made it.
Amen.
Yes,
Amen.
I made it.
Amen.
So today is Juneteenth.
It is.
Happy Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth. National holiday.
It's about the national holiday, though.
Why?
Well, because I need them to, if making Juneteenth a national holiday is going to cease our people being killed sensibly, I'm for it. Mm-hmm. If it is going to, and I wrote notes, I got notes. Mm-hmm. If it's going to close the gap of financial disparity between Blacks and whites, I'm here for it, right? If it'll end, or I said the unarmed killing my people, if it'll stop police, so I had a chance to be in be an extra in O'Shea, and it was a bunch of us because the scene that we were shooting was a rally, so we were in front of City Hall. The police, y'all, circling, they kept circling, kept circling and looking. So finally, the one that stayed circled one side, and then he came to the other side, and I was standing there, and I said, "You coming to film with us?" And he was like, "You know how they get when they get antsy, when they trying to see, which piece am I gonna pull for?" And he was like, "Well, no, what are y'all doing over here? It looks like y'all are having a gathering." I said, "We're filming for a movie." He said, "Well, who's in charge?" And so I when the husband of the people that were there was walking towards us at the time, and so he heard him, and because the policeman was actually kind of loud, and I was like, "Wow, really?" So we can't even gather. What's
unfortunate to me is that they don't have a system within, because I'm sure there had to be some sort of permit secured for you all to film and be there. And what's unfortunate to me is that you don't have a system within your HPD Houston Public Works or whatever it is, so that you have a way to check and see, do these people have the right to be here? Are they approved to be here? And that way you don't have to be on high alert. If anything, you should be there making sure that these folks who did the right thing are safe. Yeah. And that everything that they need, that they have available in terms of your services that you provide. So it's unfortunate to me that the system is not, the infrastructure is not set up in a way that informs its people, so that it doesn't put the people against the police all the time.
Yes, yeah.
That to me is what's interesting. As far as, I didn't understand, first of all, I didn't realize until, what was that, Tuesday, that it had happened. I didn't realize it was on the table. I didn't realize it was conversation. I had no clue. Right. And then, it comes up and I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then I start to hear mutterings that, different people are expressing discontentment with it. And I was like, okay, I'm not understanding why. I get the points. I get the sentiments of racial systemic racism needs to be dealt with. That there are all of these bigger rocks that need to be chipped away at, and that this is just a symbolic gesture. And while it may be, okay, thank you though, because this is still a significant part of history and that has never been acknowledged. The fact that slavery was even a thing, you still got to battle with some people in terms of its implications. So I think as far as it being, the first holiday in 4 years, I think that's significant. And for it to be this holiday, I think it's something that, especially for it to have truly come on the national radar only within the last 3 or 5 years. Like, it really was just a Texas thing, right? So folks in the Midwest don't even really get it. I remember being in Indiana for a number of years and was like, y'all ain't got no Juneteenth parade popping off. And it was like, girl, what are you talking about? I mean, for real. And so they didn't know. So only within the last few years are we even understanding Juneteenth. And then on top of that, different areas have their own. Like in Appalachia, those folks didn't find out until another window of time that they were free, and they call it Freedom Day. Right. So there are these different celebrations in different places. And I think Juneteenth being recognized nationally allows for more education, because there are plenty of white folks who have no clue. And folks are like, now they get to get the damn, now we get, well, I was talking to my cable guy, cable lady today, and she was like, well, at least, yes, girl. She was like, at least next year it'll be time and a half because I got to work. And I'm like, thank you. Valid point, So if I'm sacrificing this day that is a holiday and I'm working for you, there's going to be something to benefit me. I think that there are definitely benefits to this. I think that it is a necessary thing if we're going to ever get recognized nationally, period. I think it's significant that it was unanimous in the Senate, or in the House, rather. The Senate, of course, they do them. But I think it was important. I think it was significant. I think that people being upset is valid. I think their points are valid. But I think that this was necessary, and it was the right time to get it done. That was my thought.
Yes, well, I think Juneteenth, I'm so glad that they did pass it as a federal holiday. It should have been solved a long time ago. But the important point that you just made, what are we going to do with it?
Yeah.
Are we going to educate our children? Are we really going to truly use it for a purpose? Or are we just going to take the day off and chill? Because, we've been throwing parades. We've been throwing parades in Galveston for a long time for Juneteenth.
Right.
So what are we going to do with it? So with the racial inequity, and with the police brutality, how are we going to use it to level up? Because like you said, a lot of our white counterparts don't know about it. Some of us don't know about it.
You're right about it. You're right about it. You're right about it.
So, how are you going to use this holiday? When Martin Luther King
I was going to say that. The same thing. Yep.
So what are you going to do with it? So we have these holidays, especially for MLK Day. So now we just take it as if we just take it for granted.
Take it as a day,
That's just my personal opinion. So what are we going to do with it? How is it going to be significant in your life, in your family's life, in the little ones' lives? What are you going to teach them? And how are you going to use it to
make
better yourself and
in your community?
Which is the whole point.
That's right. That's right. And I love it. I think that it's, I love that it has become more popular, because it is such especially for Texas. It's so significant for us. It was in Galveston. I just feel like we can have a lot of pride in the fact that this is like the holiday that kind of is like, okay, y'all were the last ones to find out, so yay. But I think that it's something that we can take pride in, that, okay.
I think so too. I think it's an opportunity for us to reflect.
Yes.
So you mentioned Galveston. You and I are from the same area, right? And so oftentimes for me, I rarely go back to Galveston
or hear anything good, or hear anything good coming out of it.
And so for me, it's an opportunity to reflect about the past and where we are going, because oftentimes we have a tendency. Well, for me, I have a tendency to look at the past and say the past is the past. But we fail to remember that the past is back there, but it has impact on your future, whether you deal with it or not. And it can be positive or negative, right? So I think that Juneteenth is an opportunity for us to really reflect on our past. As I remember as a child growing up and celebrating Juneteenth and going to all the parades, all the celebrations that they had, especially in that area. But at this point in my life, we don't see it a lot. But what does it really mean besides having the picnic?
That's right. That's right.
So that's
right. Yeah.
Awesome. Great points. Thank you so much for chiming in.
Of course.
I was like,
I ain't feeling it.
Us again. Because it is so many other things that I wish they would could be changed.
And we're the ones who would be pacified, right? We choose whether or not it's going to be a pacifier.
That's true.
We either will continue to march and make our voices known and complain and let you know, okay, cool, thank you for the holiday, and still, right? And so two things can be true at the same time.
True.
And so we decide whether or not this is a pacifier, whether or not this is check, thank you, and then
stop or check, thank you, okay, now what else you got?
And abusers do that, right? They flood you with things that you are like, I wasn't even looking for this. I wasn't even asking for this. Can you just give me this, right? So as a part of this abusive relationship that Black people are in with white America, it's like we need to make sure that we are holding them to our expectations, and we are keeping their keeping in front of them the commitment that this Constitution has for us all. So I think that this is good, and I want people to continue to talk about it, though. I do want us to continue to, because I wouldn't have thought about it if the youngsters hadn't been like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be
what.
What?
On the table to be Me
either. That was a part that for me was like, that's what was on the list. Y'all didn't even tell me that was on the agenda. Y'all ain't call. I would have been there. Oh, Lord. We ain't even gonna talk about January 6th. We ain't even gonna get on January 6th. We ain't gonna talk about this anti-lynching bill that you still ain't passed. We got a list of things, but thank you. Yeah. So we get you. We get y'all. Yeah.
So after these messages,
we'll be right back.
With our guest, Georgetta.
Hey, it's your girl Lisa Danae, and I want to tell you about a product that has changed my life. Rain Premium Sanitary Napkins. Rain products are infused with a Nobel Prize-winning material called graphene. It's the graphene strip that provides the various health benefits that can improve your quality of life during that time of the month. Listen, I've been very loyal to a certain brand of feminine products, but I've never experienced the results I get with Rain products. The difference is in the graphene strip. Using Rain products has totally eliminated the painful cramps I experience, and it can also help balance your body's pH, eliminate harmful bacteria, and help fight fatigue. Graphene moves heat away from your core to keep you cool and comfortable. Ladies, it's time to upgrade your feminine care with products that not only offer protection, but also improve your health and wellness. Place your order today and receive your premium sanitary napkins delivered directly to your door. Visit www.drfcare.com to make your purchase today. And don't forget to mention that your girl Lisa Danae and Stunner Radio sent you.
We black home.
Hey, I've been waiting on you to say that. I woke up thinking about it because I can't do it.
Yes.
One more time.
We're black home.
So we are back here with our awesome guest, Miss Georgetta Medlock, right?
Yes.
That's right. And so tell us, the nose is built like it is.
It is.
So, and I heard you say that y'all from Galveston County.
We are.
Down yonder.
Lamar, Texas. Oh,
that's what that means.
Yes.
Oh, somebody said that and they said boy. And I was like,
no, you're fired.
What? That's what he used. That's how he uses it in the sentence. But anyway.
It's fine.
Never heard of
You're from Arkansas. That's fine.
Watch your mouth.
That's fine. I'm just saying you're excused. I was giving you an out.
Thank you.
Trying to help the people. But yes, we are from the Galveston County.
Oh, the Galveston County.
Okay.
Okay.
Just saying.
And how long have you been in Houston?
Over 20 years. It's been a long time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes. Okay, cool. How long have you been in business?
I have been as a therapist. Mm-hmm. I've been a therapist for about 15 years.
Wow.
Yes.
And I'm looking at your face like 20 years.
Mm-hmm. She's ageless.
Thank you, my darling.
Ageless.
Thank you, lady.
Baby, these jeans.
Hey.
Girl. Ageless.
That's nice.
I saw her in we hadn't seen each other in a number of years, and we ran into each other in Walgreens, and I was like, I know that skin and that hair anywhere.
And that's exactly what she
I was like, that's Jada.
And so you remind me of my cousin because it's the same thing. It's like looking at my cousin, the skin and the hair.
Man.
We are cousins.
Mm-hmm. Completely. Completely.
But now
yes.
I get it. Now I gotta call her to see. Did you cut your hair again? Because it would always be.
Yes.
And she'd come home and she'd like, what
What's happening?
Girl, in a month,
It's too hot.
And it's like, I can't. But anyway, so what made you want to go into therapy?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things. So, we had a conversation briefly earlier about just childhood. The ups, the downs, the drama, what makes me the way that I am, all of that.
Yes.
So I've always been curious about people and what makes them tick, right?
Okay.
And so I'm the oldest of 5. Wow. And so being the oldest of 5, I say all the time, I've been a mom for a long time, right? And so I've been always curious about how can 5 kids from the same
grow up
family
so differently
and raised the same way by the same mom, take different paths.
Such different paths.
So different.
Yeah.
So I've always been intrigued about people.
Wow. Okay.
Makes us tick.
Okay.
Why?
Yeah.
My husband's like, why are you asking all these questions? It's
Yeah.
just innate.
Yeah. I just want to know. Yeah.
I'm nosy too.
So you're cousins.
I think that makes us first cousins. Hey.
I love that that you said the childhood stuff is what drove you to therapy, because I spend a lot of time just trying to figure out, separate stuff that happened from my childhood and how it impacts me today, and what should I be doing with this information, and how does it inform my behavior. It's like I had never heard anybody specifically identify like those things are something that that motivated me, that was something that drove me to be interested in this topic. What about childhood for you? I understand the past, but what about childhood specifically?
So I don't know if you guys have heard of ACE, or childhood traumas, right? And it wasn't until I got older where I really began to understand childhood traumas, what we go through, whether it be molestation, whether it be, you're growing up in poverty, whatever that was for you. And so for me, childhood, God, going back to Galveston and being raised by a single mother. And the biggest thing is not having my father there, not having it. So there was a big hole. So I tell people all the time, I went from having that hole, HOLE, to being whole, WHOLE. But it took years to do that, right? And so I remember, being with my grandmother, but I never saw a lot of males around. My uncles were there, but they were common. They would go, right? And so for me as a child, the actually growing up in Galveston, being raised in the church, because I was raised in the church, but I was raised by my mother. So I had no idea or no clue who my biological father was.
Okay.
Now the gentleman that was
present,
well, sometimes
entangled,
he was around,
okay,
but he wasn't in the house,
okay,
right?
Okay.
And so going through that and being very promiscuous and just learning and searching and trying to navigate this world as a child, it was quite difficult. And so even in that, I tell people all the time, because my main thing is trying to get to young girls.
Yes.
Because I was that girl.
Yes.
And so for a little stint, my mother went through a little bit of domestic violence, and we had to live in a shelter for women. And just navigating through that, I remember hiding before I would come out of the shelter. I would wait for all the kids to go to school, and then I would walk to school, because I did not want them to know where I was coming from.
Got it.
So all of that, and it's just been a journey, just thinking about all that, not having the dad, being very promiscuous, remembering older guys taking advantage of that because they knew that a dad wasn't
there.
Home,
yes, yes.
All of that just kind of spiraled out of control, at one point, in terms of me really trying to find out who I am and what's my purpose in the world. And so I never want a girl to feel, or even if they feel that way, I want them to know that there's always a way out. Right. So childhood for me, I said earlier, I didn't like going to Galveston because it was horrible. Yeah. I had a really, really tough upbringing in that. It was tough being raised by a single mother.
It was,
being raised, walking the streets of Galveston, like I said, being molested at a young age. My mother had, God bless her heart, and I love my mother, so this is not a stone against my mother, because when you know better, you do better.
Of course.
Right? But my mother's, one of her boyfriends molested me when I was a kid. And so I remember that vividly, what I had on, what he did, all of that. But at that time, it was 3 of us at the time, 3 siblings, and we all slept in the same bed. But I was like, when I think about that, the audacity of this person, with my 2
sisters there,
to do that, to violate me, right? And so it was all of that, being bullied, being from the wrong side of the track, saying that you're not going to be. So it was all of that. We can talk all day about what it was. So it was all of that kind of pushed me to say, maybe you do want to kind of search a little deeper to see what you need. And what I need.
Yes, that's so good. So I know that we've talked a little bit about the idea of a fatherless daughter. I know a lot of women who have grown up without their fathers. What about this topic is particularly important for you, or what is it that touches you about this topic? Why is this something that you want to speak to?
Because a father is our first protector. They're providers. Fathers teach us how to love and how to be loved.
Okay.
I didn't have that.
Okay.
So when you don't have that, you search for it, or I did, in the wrong places, in the wrong
ways.
People,
yes,
in the wrong ways, right? And so I'm passionate about it because at 49 years later, I actually had an opportunity to meet my birth father.
Wow.
But taking it back a little bit, the guy that I thought was my dad.
Okay.
It was shared with me at 18 when I graduated from high school.
Okay.
By the way, that's really not your dad.
Oh, wow. So you grew up thinking he was.
I grew up thinking that he was.
Okay.
I did. I grew up thinking that he was, although he wasn't very present or available either.
Okay.
Remember, I told you he was around, but he wasn't in the household. Right?
Okay.
So I knew where he was. I knew which school to go find him on. I knew where to go find him.
Right.
Or which girlfriend's house to go to. But he wasn't in the house.
Got it.
And so at 18, I was told, by the way, that's not your dad. And so even in that, the disappointment of him not being there, or him promising certain things to me and never delivering, never showing up. And I'm that little girl, I'm waiting at the window like, my daddy gonna buy me a car. My daddy gonna buy, your daddy not gonna do that. By the way, that's not your dad. So I'm like, well, who is?
Yeah.
Struggling all this time?
Yeah.
Who is he? Willie T. Willie.
Who
is T. Thomas? Is it Thomas?
Right. Who is Willie T? Right, and you say it like I know the man.
I don't know him. So it was, and that was just before I went off to college. So I'm like, a bad space in my head because the person who I thought, although he wasn't there in the house or in the home with me, I still kind of identified with that because
that was dad. Yeah.
He didn't do a whole lot that I can remember.
Right.
But at least he was there.
He was there. Right. He was right.
And so, And so, going forward, all these many, many years, I remember getting a call. And I think I became curious the older I get. And I remember this day, I took my daughter down to meet the guy who was supposed to be my dad, who I thought was my dad initially, right? And he was playing with, he and my mother were getting along, they were talking, and he said something to the effect like, look at our baby, right? And talking about me. And, I like I said, I have a certain love for him. And so later that afternoon, my mother at our house, she said, mind you, this was a few years ago, she said, do you want to know your dad, your real dad? Do you miss him? Because I think she saw a connection between me and my dad in Georgia, in Galveston, right? And I was like, Mom, and really at this point, it is.
Take it or leave it,
But I remember my mom. Now, I cannot say that. This is what I'm going to say, and I tell my friends this all the time because it happened so quickly. So I don't know if she really knew where he was all these years or what, but I can tell you that this happened so quickly. My mom called me like the next week or so and told me she made contact with my biological daddy through one of her friends that she knew that grew up in the city that he's from. So my mom like, how did that happen?
So quickly,
After all these years,
so he was,
40, all these years.
He's been But
I remember talking to this man for the very first time, and I cried like a baby.
Your heart.
Because what he said to me was, baby girl, I've been looking for you.
Oh.
And he said, am sorry if everything that you went through, your mom told me everything that you went through. I am so sorry. He said, I couldn't find you because I didn't really know your mom's people. So come to find out, they only had like a little one night stand.
A little fling.
You didn't know them.
Yeah.
And they lost contact.
Yeah.
You know? And at that time, I tell you, I saw like a baby.
Yes.
And so in not having that, I always promised myself with my girls, they would have a relationship with their father.
Yes.
Because I know the hole
that leaves.
And a woman, the girls who grow to be women, when they don't have that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And like we were discussing earlier, to even have someone in the house and they're disconnected.
That's correct.
You know, and I affectionately call him Daddy, but he was truly, if there was a picture of somebody, her people, his picture would be there, and it'd be Hully, even though he hated taking pictures, right? He hated it. And so he was in the house and he was giving what he could give, how he knew how to give it, even a lot of times what he was giving was out of spite.
Right.
The name calling, and that was from the time I was 6 until I moved out when I was 19. I got called a name every day, several names every day, and it was not Miriam, it was not Mimi, it was not baby girl. I was made to feel like I was not wanted in the house. Nothing I ever did was right. And then when I met my spineless sperm donor, because that's what he was, he's now deceased. His reaction to me was, okay, somebody said the mics were low. His reaction to me was, how does it feel to be ignored by me? So I was not accepted in either light. And still the same hole was there.
Right.
And like I was telling you earlier, for me, it didn't dissipate until after Daddy passed away, and I was trying to figure out: am I upset? Am I hurting? Do I want to cry or don't I? And it was really one of those things like, whatever, I'm over it. And I was driving, and it was just one of those red light moments where God was like, so all those times where he called you out your name and you were a garden tool, you were a done itch, or you were, all those things. I'm going to take that and I'm going to show you how I do. Let me show you what I can do and how I can make that crooked straight, and how you're going to need it later in life.
Right.
I didn't understand it, but okay, whatever. And so here we are. I still have triggers. I still have tics, but it's nothing.
Like it was.
Nothing. And I'm so grateful that God decided to love me enough for that. So we have a comment from, this is actually my cousin. Hey, cousin, Lady Rose. The thing about growing up without my dad around and knowing that he loved me presented some issues in my life, she says. I would always seek the love of my dad through my relationships, and that didn't work well for me. My mom, mother of 17, single mother to 10. Yes, definitely an issue. But God has delivered me from that. Yeah, and my cousin, this particular cousin, went through a lot. She's older than I, but I still know quite a bit of her story. She ain't been shy about it, so it definitely is. So you've been in counseling for how many years?
15
years.
Okay, and you're here in Houston, right?
I'm here in Houston.
Tell the people before I forget to ask where and how they can find you.
So I can be found either Facebook or Instagram at Georgetta.Medlock.
Okay.
So if you look me up on either of those platforms under my name, you can email me by the same name, Georgetta.Medlock@gmail.com, or sheenvisions21@gmail.com. That's one of my platforms that I use because I do workshops for girls, primarily talking about self-esteem and self.
Oh, nice.
Because as you know, as a woman whose father isn't there either physically or emotionally, we suffer or we lack self-esteem and self-worth because there was no one there to really tell us that we were beautiful. Baby girl, I love you. Baby girl, you're beautiful. Like you said, you were called out of your name on many a day. You began to identify with that. So for me, I know that because I used to identify with that for a long time until I began to navigate my way out of that. Saying, no, that's not who I am. But it took a long time to do that.
Yeah.
for me, it's like, I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, I grew up without a dad. Like, I don't even, and like feeling that void was, I don't think that I realized it. Like, I think that what it's looked like for me is not knowing how to relate to men, not knowing how to, just even move in relationship. Like, how do I even understand what you're saying? Like, sometimes it feels like a foreign language when I'm communicating with them, because I do not have that background. I don't have that experience. And so it has often made me nervous and uncomfortable. And so I think that's been the impact for me. Like, as I kind of reflect on like, okay, I think the beautiful piece and those sorts of things, my esteem is more connected to like my weight stuff. And so I didn't identify it around daddy stuff. But for me, the daddy stuff comes around, I don't know how to be around men.
Well, it's the same thing with me. Everybody celebrates fathers. And of course I celebrate because of my husband, but not because of my father.
Yes.
And so, not having a father there, not really being able to relate to truly what Father's Day is for.
Celebrating a dad. Yes.
And so I've learned how to, we learn how to cope, right? And so even in our coping, there are healthy coping mechanisms, and there are those that are unhealthy, right? And so you said earlier about, you can't relate to guys, or you wonder, why you can't relate to guys, because our dads were our teachers in terms of the male species, right? They teach us what to say, how to navigate. Now, baby girl, when you do this, I watch my husband's with my daughter, right? And so he teaches, and she's like, she's like
got
her superhero, right?
He can do no wrong.
That's the way it should be, because as she gets older and becomes
that's
a
what
woman,
she's going to play back,
and she can relate to that. She'll know how to be treated. Her dad opens the doors for her in the car, in the house, or any restaurant we go into, and she was like, "Mommy, Daddy needs to open the door for you, so don't touch any doors." I was like, "You sure, right, baby girl?"
Thank you.
So he's teaching her, right, how to do that, so she'll know what to accept and what not to accept.
And she's watching if he does it for you.
Watching.
So if you don't tell me you're gonna do one thing and you don't give it to my mom.
Right.
So not only is he telling her, he's also letting her know, make sure you keeping me in check in terms of how I'm living out what I'm telling you. You should be looking for.
That's huge too.
Actions.
There was a lot of back and forth in the house. Say one thing and do something. I'm the mom or I'm the dad. I say what I want to say. Right.
But that's a
absolutely.
But you're delivering confusion. Right. So now when I get out there by myself,
I'm functioning out of confusion.
Right.
What do I?
Because he said, Daddy did it too. Yeah. Daddy said one thing, did another. So if he don't show up as the dude,
I'm cool. Because
that's the example I've seen. That's good.
And I've seen that happen. Even my oldest brother dealt with some stuff with his first wife, and he was like, "Well, Mama dealt with it, so I got to do it." And I was like,
"Well, parents, we set examples for our children, whether it's negative or positive. We set examples because they're watching
all the time.
Absolutely, and also even with those, I think being available, and we talked about that earlier, to have the discussion, whether it's no matter how uncomfortable it could be, is very important. If the little humans have questions, or even having moments that are teachable moments instead of taking them or dismissing them. Let every moment be a teachable moment. Okay, you did that, or like you said, your daughter reminded you, like, you know what, baby, show right, Mama forgot, or whatever the case is, let me go and remind him now.
Right.
And so that's a teachable moment.
And to remind you, it's like, you're right, baby. Like, Mama, you should be. It's like, you are right, because sometimes we get caught up in that. Right. So, I did not realize that that's where my lack of connection to men might be stemming from.
I didn't want to admit it. I ain't no statistics. 20 hours,
right?
Whatever, y'all
right.
And it wasn't me.
Right, I had a daddy.
What you mean? And that's what
I had a daddy.
Was.
Yeah.
I had a daddy.
Yeah.
He was in the house. He just was not emotionally
available
to you, right? And even with,
and to know that there's a difference.
My mom married later on. Because she married a guy, when you talk about being unavailable,
Mm-hmm.
emotionally unavailable, he was so mean.
Mm-hmm.
He was so mean to me and my siblings. And I remember one particular episode, he was violent.
Mm-hmm.
And I always said to myself, I would never marry anyone like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. He was super, super violent. I remember one time my mother was pregnant with my youngest sibling. And he had a car. Mm-hmm. He would not drive her to the laundromat.
Wow.
She would walk. And we would literally get our bikes, put the basket on the bikes right on Lamarck, Texas.
Yep.
And take the laundry to the laundromat for her, drive back and get another because she would walk.
Mm-hmm.
He was so mean. And so I remember, I was like, Lord, I just don't want that for my life.
Yeah.
And even with my first child, so I have a 26-year-old daughter. This is my youngest daughter, right? Mm-hmm. And so with my first marriage,
twin.
With my first marriage,
She looked 30.
Her twin.
With my first marriage, I was like, I don't want her to see an unhealthy relationship. Mm-hmm. So even after we divorced, we were friends. Mm-hmm. Right? For instance, we're still raising this little kid.
This person, right.
She doesn't need to see all that discord and all that, right? So when I met my husband now and my ex, we all met together. I was like, this is the deal. Mm-hmm. This is her father. Mm-hmm. We are family. Mm-hmm. And we have to make this work for her. Mm-hmm. Right? So one of the things that he told me, and this is how I know that blended families can work. Mm-hmm. One of the things that he told me before I married my husband was like, I like him for you.
Good.
He's good for Gabby, which is my oldest daughter. He's good for her, right? Mm-hmm. And every week he would come up from Lamarck when we first married to make sure that Gabby had a good example to see of men working together.
Wow. Wow.
And that's what I always wanted because we don't do that.
No.
Because it's not necessary. We're the adults.
Yes.
Right? And so we
can figure this out. Yeah.
Take that same energy.
Absolutely. And be constructive.
Mm-hmm. And that's something that's I've been tossing in my head all week because I wonder how it is that, and it's like not a judgy thing, but it just kind of sort of baffles me when people who do have children say, or they know how it was to be in a relationship like that, where it wasn't working out. And instead of them doing something different with their children, they follow the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, but you know how that feels.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So why would you
do that
or allow
create
it to be
that
done to your child?
These are
and
patterns and habits.
Yeah.
Patterns and habits, right? And so we always want to break the pattern or the habit by doing something different. We hope.
Yeah.
That should be the goal.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then too, it didn't help that I was listening to, or I was watching the film at work. But I was listening. I was at work. I was listening. To, I want to say Law and Order, one of those shows. And it was something on there that was along these lines of, the parent didn't decide to take the necessary steps to break the pattern. So the pattern continued.
Yeah.
The child ended up hemmed up. It was like the parent was surprised. Like, but how?
And so I guess that's where the piece with, I'm hearing generational curses. Like I'm hearing people saying that. And it's like, okay, two things can be true, right? You do have spiritual implications, but there are also physical manifestations, which are the patterns of the patterns of the manifestation of the curse or whatever. And the fact that you said that when you saw your mom's situation with her husband at the time, that you made a decision that this is not what I want for my life.
I had to think about this. My sister and I had a talk several years ago, and I've been married now for 12 years. And I love my husband. I have a good husband. But anyway,
what's up, Alan?
We were talking, and she made a valid point. Even in the ups and downs of marriage or any relationship, that you're in. But with marriage, there are ups, there's downs, and you're trying to build a legacy for your children. You're trying to make it work. You're trying to do all the things that are needed to make marriage work and have a long-standing marriage. Two things. My husband, his background is different, meaning that he was raised by a two-parent household.
Okay.
They've been married for over 40 years.
Okay.
I was raised by a single mother, right? With 5 children with 4 different dads, right? We all have different dads. But The point that she made was this: Georgetta, you're doing well because remember, we did not have an example to follow.
That's so
and
good.
that was so profound to me because that is so true.
Yeah.
She said,
you're
whether
charting
it's
a path.
years, 20 years, 25 years, you are doing wonderful because we did not have
We didn't have it. Yeah.
So you are making, you are navigating this new
you're carving this all out.
Yes.
Yeah.
To not only make it some type of normalcy for yourself and your family, but for your girls who will follow along the way to see how.
Ooh, that is so powerful. That is such a great point.
And so that was an epiphany. And I was like, she is so right. I didn't see this. I didn't have it around me.
Right.
I had some great grandmothers and great grandmothers who I love.
Right.
But did I actually see any married folks in my?
Nope.
I didn't see that.
Nope.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Nope. Didn't.
For the longest time, I didn't want to be married. I was like, I'm good. If marriage looks like this, what my parents had, I'm good. And if the cheering gonna turn out like us, I'm good. My brother, that's a fire starter.
Yeah.
We were the two nerds in the family. My oldest brother was. We were all musically inclined, and I think that's mostly because of mom. But yeah, it was like, that's okay. I'm good.
Yeah.
If that's the example,
that's what it
that's
is.
what marriage looks like. I don't want to be arguing and fighting every day. So I'm good. I'm cool. You know, and I did not want. If I ever, I don't want that type of relationship.
Yes.
I don't.
Yeah.
Don't, and it always scared me.
Yes, you jacked up your nervous system.
Yeah, you know, and I was always told, "You gonna be just like your mama." I'm just like my mama.
I don't want them. Yeah, because I don't want them.
I don't want them. So we'll be back after these messages for because we're at the end of the show.
We're at the end of the show. Yes.
Love notes.
Awesome.
In a minute.
We'll be back.
This show was sponsored in part by Flat Fee Tax Prep and Services, offering quality tax preparation, serving clients nationwide. For more information, visit www.flatfeecreditandtax.com. And don't forget to mention Stunner Radio sent you. If you're looking for healthy meal prep, family-style meals, or catering for your next event, look no further than the East Traveling Square Kitchen with Chef Square, Alan Phillips, specializing in soul food, family-style dining, and southern flavor. Chef Square can adhere to dietary needs like keto and bariatric meal prep without compromising on taste. Take advantage of weekly meal plans like the Starter Pack, 5 meals for $75 with 3 entree choices. Additional meal plans and contact-free delivery is available. Contact Chef Square of the East Traveling Square Kitchen today at 832-495-8836 and tell them Stunner Radio sent you.
And we're back home. We're back home. Sorry.
Yes, we are. I mean, wanted to keep going, so that's why I'm waiting.
Girl.
So, but anyway, one day we're gonna have a whole entire song.
I will. I'm gonna work on that. Let me write that down.
And I'm gonna sing one part of the book.
Nope.
God, see how she does me? I'm trying to slide it in.
She already warned you.
I'll give you a spot for spoken word. I'll give you a spot for a few bars.
Okay, I'll do the spoken word.
But
I can
no,
do the spoken word.
like no tunes.
No tunes.
No, just speaking.
Okay.
I'll work on it. All right.
Fine. Miss Georgetta, love notes of the week is just a little something to give people to think about. Something to chew on for the rest of the 7 days, the next 7 days, the rest of their lives. Something
What
they
you
can
got?
reach back and be like,
Rich back.
yeah, reach back. Yeah, reach back. What you got?
This is what I got. I always tell people that you little girls with dreams become women with vision. And at this point, women, you need to have a vision for our lives.
Okay.
And don't hold yourself captive by your past. Because for me, that's what I started doing until I broke out of it. Right? And I'm as free as I want to be today because I don't live in the past. Now, can you use it to learn from it? What not to do going forward? You certainly can. But don't hold yourself captive.
That's big.
I love it.
Huge.
I love
We
that.
all got a past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
good.
it's not one to be, cousin said that's good.
That's good.
Will that preach, cousin?
That'll preach.
Denny, what you got? What you got?
I think for me, this week has reminded me that I have been chosen for this moment, for this life. that there are experiences that only I could have had and navigated, and there are people that are going to relate to my experiences that if I weren't here, there would be something about their experience that would be different. And so for me, it's just be courageous to tell your story. Have the courage to, look within, learn from what you need to learn from, but also be courageous to share and to tell, because that the Bible version is the people overcome by the word of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. And so telling your story, having a testimony, having something to share about your experiences, releasing the shame so that you can be free to do that. Letting that shame go so that you can be free to share, so that others can be free.
Yeah, and
So,
I was so concerned with that because for years I didn't want to talk about my life. I was so ashamed of how it was, how things happened. And as I shared with Georgetta earlier, that it wasn't until after Dad died that I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna use this. Let me show you how you can use this." And then even further down the road, our awesome owner here, Lisa, was still pushing me even more to talk about it. And I was like, I ain't ready. But there is healing in the discussion.
Yeah.
It's not shameful.
Nope.
It is what happens, and most assuredly that I can tell you that your story is going to help somebody else.
And how you got through it.
Yeah.
Because there's something about being a 46-year-old and being able to say, I am currently finding out who I am and what I like. There was a point in my life where there would be great shame in that like, you should have already been there by now. What do you mean? How are you going to say that to somebody else? Everybody else is 20-year-olds. And I can't be ashamed of that because there's somebody who's 50 who needs to know there's worth in doing the work and connecting. And so I think that that's important for people to hear and know.
Yeah. And for me, for those who are still, shaking their heads, I feel like somebody's like, it's not me, it's you. I had to start one-on-one.
Yeah.
It could not be in a setting like this. I had to look, and that was a prayer for me.
Yeah.
Okay, Lord, if you want me to do this, it has to be one-on-one.
Me,
I don't like getting my business.
Yeah.
And so there were literally people in my space. Every time I turned around that either needed to hear it, was going through it, coming out of it, and then, a reminder or somebody that needs to deposit something into me. Right. So it can happen. It will happen. All you got to do is one foot in front of the other and trust God. He'll make it happen.
Yes.
That's us.
What's your note?
Oh,
did you already do your note?
Oh,
okay. Beautiful.
You.
Well, you put it all in so beautifully. You wove it together so seamlessly. I didn't even know that it had happened.
So, thank you guys for tuning in.
Yes.
Thank
you for being here.
I can't wait.
Thank you so much.
And you can find her at
Georgetta.medlock@gmail.com.
Yes.
And she envisions 21.
She envisions 21 at gmail.com.
That's where I missed. Until next week, you guys. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers who are
Happy
doing
Father's Day.
My hat's off to you, 'cause a lot of single fathers out there doing that.
Daddy Day. Enjoy your day. Because you a daddy.
You guys have a great week. Make sure you tune in later because we're going to be hosting that red carpet.
Block Sherry.
What she said. Until then, love you.
Have a great week.